So, you have a movie for me?
I am a collector. What?
Gentlemen, this is...
I don't blame you one bit.
What's up, everyone? It's Adam from FWCI, and I'm going to check out some Trevor Moore. This is called Trevor Moore Escapes from Mexico from This Is Not Happening, which I think is his Comedy Central special. I just watched an hour of his discussion with Bert Kreischer from Bert's podcast, or whatever it is, YouTube show, and I've learned more about him in the last, 2 hours than I have, ever before. He has a wild story. I'm so genuinely disappointed that I wasn't able to follow along this guy's career, because everything he does so far has just been hilarious. So we're going to have a look at some of his stand-up. Rest in peace, Trevor Moore, obviously. This guy he's so my style. Everything is just great. So let's jump into it.
Give it up for a very funny man, Mr. Trevor Moore, everybody. Let him hear it.
All right.
I went down with a bunch of friends to Comic-Con in San Diego, and it was fun. I did the first day where you just go and you walk the floor and you look at all the commercials for movies and stuff. But then by the second day, I was like, all right, I've already seen it. I want to do something else. So I thought it'd be fun to go to Tijuana, which is about 30 miles south of San Diego. So I started telling people, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm just going to take the day and go down to Tijuana for a couple hours and come back. And everybody that was from San Diego was like, don't do that. They were like, Tijuana has changed a lot in the last 10 years. There's a giant drug war going on. And if you don't know what's happened, there's a drug cartel that has basically completely paid off the army. And then there's another drug cartel that doesn't like the first drug cartel, and they've paid off the police. So it's just constant war, and people disappear, they get kidnapped, and it's a very scary place. And so everybody was telling me that, and I was like, whatever. And so I got one of my friends to be like, yeah, I'll go down to Tijuana, I'll go for a couple hours, it'll be fun.
Oh, sorry. I don't know if I need to pause this for copyright, but I will just in case. Man, I've never seen his stand-up before, and I'm already fully engrossed in this story.
We're like, okay. So we got in the car, we drive down, we're excited, we park the car on the American side, and we're walking through, and there's no line. And we're like, terrific. So we're going through, and there's this big wall that you can't see over, and there's a building inside of it, and that's where the Mexican customs is. So we walk through, we open the door to the other side, we're in Mexico, and the door shuts behind us, and the first thing we see is the longest goddamn line I have ever seen in my life to get back into the United States. It went down a street, it came back, it went back, it was like, and it went, you couldn't see the end of it, and we're just like, holy shit, did we just make a huge mistake? What do we do? And then there's another line of cars, and the cars are all stand still, no one's moving. So we start, and by the way, they're right, Tijuana is terrifying. It's like a whole town that's like that bar in Star Wars. And so, we're just there. I tried to buy a soda, and I swear to God, the guy selling me the soda was like, do you want to buy Crystal? So it means everybody,
just
the only
soda,
reason people
thanks.
go down there anymore is to do illegal stuff, so everybody's trying to sell illegal stuff. Someone offered us guns. It was crazy. So we're trying to find a way. We're trying to figure out what do we have to do. Do we just get back in this line? Do we not see Tijuana at all and just wait in this line? We start talking to people. The line to get back into the United States is 6 hours. The car line is 10 hours. And it's because we came through on the last Sunday of the month, and that's when everybody does the going over or something. I don't know, but they said it was... That's when everybody does the going over. And, but they said it's literally the worst day we could have picked to go. So we're freaking out. We don't know what to do. We talked to a guy who has a car, and he says he's a taxi guy. And we're like, okay. And he speaks a little English, and he's saying, well, if you come back in a couple hours, it dies down a little bit. So just, take a taxi ride, go to downtown, see some stuff. And
won't it still be 4 hours, even when he comes back in 2 hours? This is wild, because obviously living in Australia, we don't have any international borders in this country. It's pretty ballsy to just go over the border into another country. I don't know.
A little bit. So just, take a taxi ride, go to downtown, see some stuff, and then come back. And we're like, okay, all right, yeah, maybe we'll do that. And so then we get in the taxi, and then he leaves, and he's not the guy that's going to drive us. Some other guy gets in, and then he takes off. And we're like, what's going on? Where are we going? And we're just driving down this line of cars, and for the first time, we're seeing how long this line of cars is. And it's miles. And we're like 2 miles away from the border. We don't even know where the border is anymore, because just a line of cars, so we just follow that. And we're freaking out, and we're trying to get the cab driver to stop, and he doesn't speak any English whatsoever. We're like, we don't know how hard it is to get a cab where we're going. We don't know where we're going. So we're like, stop, and we're freaking out, and I'm trying to figure out my high school Spanish. So I know coche is car, and I'm saying like, and I think alto is stop, because it sounds like alto, so I'm going, alto coche, alto coche. I find out later alto means tall, so I sound like a crazy person to him. And eventually we land on no. We're just like, no. We're just yelling no, because no, even in Spanish, is no. No means no, universally. So he just stops the car, we give him some money, and then we start walking back towards the border. And we're walking on this elevated highway with no sidewalk, and it's all these cars, they're all stopped. People are just like hanging out by the cars. It's like one of those disaster movies where like the wave's going to hit or the meteor hits or something. And there's this whole industry that's cropped up of just people selling stuff to everyone who's stuck in this day-long line. So people are like grilling meat, and there's all these little...
Wait a minute, is he going to have the Tijuana experience in the lineup to get back into America?
Shops. There's this really weird thing that's popular in Tijuana right now, which I don't understand. I tried to Google it, and I still don't know. But we stopped at this one guy's tent, and they all had this one thing, which is this giant framed velvet poster of Marilyn Monroe doing that, like, oopsie, my dress is going up pose. But she's also holding a Tommy gun and shooting people. I don't know what that is, but that's huge in Tijuana right now. So we're walking. It takes us about 2 hours to get back to the border. And so then we get to the border, and we're talking to people, and we find out that there's a guy who has a bus. And if you give him some money, you can get on the bus, and there's a special VIP bus lane to get over the border, and that only takes 2 hours. So we're like, okay, we can do this whole thing for 4 hours altogether, fine. We pay the guy the money, we get on the bus, it takes 2 hours, we get over the border, Customs gets mad at us because my friend doesn't have a passport, but they let us through. We get through, and we're like, just before kissing the ground, kind of. Like we're that excited. It feels so good to be back in the United States of America. And, I've complained about this country a lot, and I have my issues with it, but I've never been more patriotic than coming back from 4 hours in Mexico. And so we're celebrating, and we're so excited. We get in our car, and we're just like celebrating. We're like, we did it. We're going to go back to San Diego. This is awesome. We're out of Mexico. And my car has a really shitty GPS system where it likes to tell you to take a turn right as you're passing the turn. So we're driving, we're celebrating, and then my car's like, take a left. And the left was...
Are they in Mexico?
Back there. So I'm 3 lanes over. I can't get over to it. So I'm like, oh, no, I just missed the left. What's going to happen? And then the road that I was on went right back into Mexico. And I went from being the happiest I've ever been to the saddest I've ever been. We started freaking out. He's like, what did you do? And I was like, it was my GPS. It's a bad GPS. I don't know. It's not my fault. And we're just driving towards it, and this Mexican flag is getting bigger as we're getting towards the border. And it's 6 lanes of traffic, one way, and there's cement walls on the side, so you can't pull over on the curb or anything. And we're just getting closer to this Mexican flag, and we're freaking out, because now we have the car, and we can't go back to the bus guy. We've got to get in the 10-hour line. We're going to be there till 4 in the morning, and nothing good happens at 4 in the morning in Tijuana. So we're freaking out. The sign's getting closer. I don't know what to do, so I panic. I just hit the brakes. I jump out of my car, and the car just stops there, and the Border Patrol people go crazy. They don't like it when you do that. So they're all yelling. They're like, what is wrong with you? Get back in your vehicle. Get back in your vehicle. And I'm like, I made a mistake. I don't want to go to Tijuana. I was just there. It's horrible. I don't want to go back. And they're like, get back in your vehicle. I'm like, I can't, I don't want to go across the border. So then they're talking on their walkie-talkies and they're all mad. And then there's a Border Patrol guy comes and there's a metal fence that he can talk through at me. And he's like, you have to get back in your car and you have to go. And I'm like, I tell him the whole story. I'm like, we were just there. It took all these hours to get back. We're supposed to be back in San Diego. I made a mistake with GPS. He's like, I don't care. You're past the point. Like, you're in the lane of traffic. You have to go. Get in your car and go. And I just had this moment where I looked at him. I said, you can't make me go to Mexico. I'm an American citizen. You can't kick me out of my country.
He's
and
right,
then
though.
he looked at me, and then he started talking on his walkie-talkie, and everybody was like mad. I could see everybody was upset about this. And then they all came out, and they shut down 6 lanes of traffic to let our car go across. They shut down the whole border to Mexico.
Oh, no.
So
Thank you.
we got to the other side, and they just descended on the car, and they were like shining lights in our eyes, like, are you high? Are you drunk? What is wrong with you? And I was like, honestly, we're just stupid. I'm sorry. And they were like, get out of here. And we drove, and we didn't celebrate this time because I didn't want to jinx it. I thought if we like celebrated a little, the border would pop out of nowhere and be like, you're back in Mexico. So we got home, and that was the most traumatized I've ever been in my life. And the only thing that I learned about it is that no matter how much you fuck up, and no matter what you do in life, nobody can make you go to Mexico. That's the only thing I learned. Thank you, guys.
You can't make me go to Mexico. Oh, man. That is a wild story. I don't think it's quite up there with, like, you know, the Machine Wild, but that would be a very upsetting thing to have to go through, like just getting stuck over the border of another country. You don't know what the laws there are. You don't know what your rights are there. At 4 a.m. and a 10-hour line with none of that sounds like a good idea. So can't believe they shut down 6 lanes of traffic just to let this guy back into America. That is amazing. He must have been very, very adamant about not going back into Mexico. I feel like the Border Patrol guy could like sense like the panic and the terror in his eyes when he was talking about it. But I'm going to be checking out more Whitest Kids You Know in the future. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. Drop a like as well. And as always, be well, stay safe, look after your friends, and see you in the next video. Peace.